seen an act of domestic violent extremism, and it wasn't by the right.
No, it was
It's
from
by the group that's continued to carry out domestic violent extremism in the country for years, Antifa, who does not like a particular new center being built in Atlanta for police and firefighter training. They call it nastily Cop City. This is going to be like a militarized zone.
Right.
When in fact, the city of Atlanta is trying to better train police officers and firefighters so that those who are apprehended by police or in police custody or find themselves in situations with police are actually better trained so that we don't see these national tragedies where there's police overreaction or riots in the streets. But yet this group, they don't want police to be fixed, Andy. They want police to be defunded. They want community activists to be in the cities, in the communities. They don't want actual police there. So even if this would improve policing relations with communities who feel like they have been unfairly targeted by police, no, they've got to burn it down.
That's the irony, Jordan, is the fact that here we are attempting in the state of Georgia, and this is in DeKalb County, which is the Atlanta Police Department, a county just next to Fulton County where Atlanta is located, and that's where the Atlanta Police Department wants to put this $90 million training center. But the irony is that we are attempting, as you say, to do something right, to teach police how not to overreact to situations, to teach law enforcement officers generally. It would include paramedics, it would include first responders, it would include a broad panoply of people who are in law enforcement. We have a training center like that in Forsyth, Georgia, just down the way. So to teach them to be better law enforcement officers, and yet the hard left, the Antifa, the Southern Poverty Law Center, that's always been leftist in its orientation, doesn't want that. They are prepared to use violence to prevent that from happening, saying not only is that just a cop city where you're just training people to persecute the population, but you're also knocking down a forest area there that's preserved. So for all the right leftists talking point reasons, they go and engage in acts of domestic terrorism, and that's exactly what this is, domestic terrorism, and they need to be prosecuted for it.
The fact it's not lost on me that you've got this highly educated Southern Poverty Law Center attorney. They are claiming he was there just to watch. That is obviously the police thought that he was not just caught up in it, but was doing something and taking part.
Yeah.
He looks like a protester. He does not look like someone who was trying to look different.
Yeah, you understand people like press, if you will, that are going to want to go down and cover it, or people that just feel like they need to see
acts of not this violent, but civil disobedience. My dad would certainly accompany protesters.
Yeah,
but you know what he'd be doing? He'd usually wear a suit. He would identify himself as, I am not the protester.
I am their lawyer. Yeah,
I am their lawyer. You can talk to me. But this is violence.
Yeah, and
so
when
he was just going down to observe things, Molotov cocktails being blown up.
Right.
Well, guess what happens? Police are going to come in and use violence to stop it because you've started destroying property with handmade explosives.
Yeah, everyone in that area is going to probably get arrested, and he was one of them. Yeah, in an organization that is one of the most controversial, I feel like, in the sense of somehow they've been able to weave this web of being this not, of labeling a lot of hate groups. That's sort of their whole thing is who's on their hate list and who's not, and really they've become this really it sounds nice. The Southern Poverty Law, it sounds like a nice institute. Sounds like someone's doing good stuff. But what we know is really they're just a radicalized organization to a pretty far extreme.
Yeah, but mostly their hate group list is conservative organizations. It's all politics.
Yeah.
But again, I think it was interesting. I mean, there were activists from as far away as France, Canada.
Oh, yeah, that was a weird part, too. They said now Atlanta's an international city.
Yep.
We know that it's easy to get in and out of Atlanta and get overseas.
Right.
So that makes sense. But also, you're right, these weren't Georgia protesters.
Right.
And Georgia responded pretty strongly, said this isn't Portland, and we're not going to take it like this.
No, because that's the state doing something about it. Would the federal government do anything about this? I think this what Georgia needs to do is prosecute, even though you probably could have federal issues here in Antifa's, the federal movement. I think if you're the state of Georgia, you'd rather prosecute it.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that really is within the purview of the district attorney for DeKalb County, Georgia. who is a prosecutor elected by the people to keep law and order in the county. And I think what Logan said is really important, and that is this Southern Poverty Law Center. As people who listen to this program know, I live in Atlanta, and I've known about the Southern Poverty Law Center all my life growing up. They're not what they purport to be. They're the people who claim that the Latin Mass in the Catholic Church is somehow an oppressive thing that has to be stopped. This is something that's been going on since the Middle Ages. So, I mean, they're not what they purport themselves and represent themselves to be, nor is their lawyer. Their lawyer, as you pointed out, if he goes out there as a lawyer, he goes out there as a lawyer. This guy went out there as a terrorist, helping with the Molotov cocktails. I think he had some kind of a disguise on as well. And he supposedly is a member of the Florida bar and the Georgia bar from what I saw. But, you know, if he's not acting as a lawyer and he's acting as a terrorist, he needs to be treated like one and locked up.